the universal language of sacred geometry. Across spiritual traditions and ancient cultures, sacred geometry emerges as more than just art or mathematical patterns. It is the very language of the universe. It narrates the story of creation, not through words, but through shapes, proportions, and relationships that resonate on both a cosmic and personal level. By examining the first 3 verses of Genesis, we uncover striking parallels that reveal how sacred geometry mirrors the divine process of creation. So let's embark on this journey together, exploring the mystical narrative encoded within these timeless patterns. Imagine the beginning, absolute void, an expanse without form or reference. In this stillness, spirit stirs. The first act of creation isn't a word or an object, it's movement. Sacred geometry begins with this primordial motion. Spirit projects itself in 6 directions: up, down, left, right, forward, and backward, establishing the first spatial references. This simple expansion forms the foundation of all geometric shapes. As spirit moves, it defines space, creating boundaries. Lines connect, intersect, and from these connections, basic forms emerge: squares, triangles, and eventually, the octahedron. This shape, with its 8 triangular faces, symbolizes the first stable structure in 3-dimensional space, representing balance and potential. This movement from stillness to form is echoed in Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. Formlessness gives way to form, void gives way to space. Geometry becomes the script of creation. As the octahedron rotates, something beautiful happens. The rigid, straight lines begin to curve, and a dynamic interplay unfolds. In sacred geometry, straight lines represent the masculine principle: structure, direction, clarity. Curved lines embody the feminine: flow, receptivity, and grace. This transition mirrors the biblical account. In Genesis, Adam, the male archetype, is created first, representing the structured, linear foundation. Eve, the feminine counterpart, follows, symbolizing the nurturing, curvilinear energy that brings life and continuity. Geometry reflects this duality. The shift from straight to curved lines isn't just aesthetic. It symbolizes the harmonious dance between masculine and feminine energies, essential for creation to flourish. Genesis continues, "And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Then God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light." This declaration of light corresponds to a profound geometric symbol, the Vesica Piscis. Formed when 2 spheres intersect, the Vesica Piscis creates an almond-shaped figure at the center. This shape isn't random. It embodies the principles of duality merging into unity. The Vesica Piscis is the blueprint for light, literally and metaphorically. In optics, it represents the geometry of how light behaves. Spiritually, it symbolizes the birth of consciousness, the moment awareness dawns. Light isn't just physical illumination. It's the awakening of existence, the spark that brings potential into reality. Creation doesn't stop with light. As Genesis describes the successive days, sacred geometry reveals a pattern of expansion. From the Vesica Piscis, additional circles are drawn, each centered on the intersection points of the previous circles. This process continues, forming the seed of life and eventually the flower of life, a pattern found in sacred sites around the world. By the 6th day, Genesis speaks of the completion of creation. Geometrically, this is represented by the formation of 6 surrounding circles, perfectly symmetrical around a central one. This isn't just a pretty design. Within the flower of life lie the blueprints for all living forms, the Platonic solids, and even the golden ratio that governs growth patterns in nature. The geometry mirrors the biblical narrative, a progression from simplicity to complexity, from unity to the diversity of life. At its core, sacred geometry isn't just about shapes, it's about meaning. Each form carries a vibration, a resonance that connects the material with the metaphysical. Form is language. In Genesis, creation happens through speech. God said. But words are vibrations, and vibrations create patterns. Sacred geometry is the visual counterpart to this divine language. The 7 days of creation. Each geometric progression parallels the days of Genesis, not as literal 24-hour periods, but as stages of unfolding consciousness. Through this lens, the universe isn't just made of matter. It's composed of patterns, frequencies, and relationships. A cosmic symphony written in the language of sacred geometry. Sacred geometry illuminates the story of Genesis, offering a bridge between ancient scripture and universal truths. It shows us that creation isn't a distant event in the past. It's an ongoing process, reflected in the very fabric of existence, in the spirals of galaxies, the cells of our bodies, and the rhythm of our breath. As we explore these patterns, we don't just learn about the universe, we rediscover our place within it. So, next time you see a simple shape, a flower, or even the stars in the sky, remember, you're looking at echoes of the same sacred geometry that shaped the cosmos.